Danny McCrum is a multi-talented musician based in Auckland, New Zealand. He's a highly respected guitarist, singer, and songwriter with extensive experience on stage, in the studio, and running the business behind the music. Over the years, he has worked with many music greats, including Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, John Mayer, Tommy Emmanuel, Jimmy Barnes, Simple Minds, Brian Ferry, Joan Armatrading, Katie Melua, and more. He started playing guitar just before his 12th birthday and began writing and performing a few months later. His earliest performances were for local community events, school events, and talent quests, in which he consistently took first or second place. When he was 15, his band, The Frankies, won the Auckland finals of the Smoke-Free Rock Quest and performed in the national finals in front of several thousand people at the Auckland Town Hall. By the time Danny was 16, he was getting booked to play all over New Zealand. As well as performing his own music, he would fill in as a guitarist, bassist, and drummer for bands that were temporarily down a member. He was also starting to frequent studios to record with various bands. Danny has always been very proactive, and at a very young age started to take on management responsibilities. He coordinated several national tours, a long list of shows, and independently released a number of EPs and albums. At 19, Danny was regularly performing solo at bars around the city. He then co-founded the band Spinner.
Auckland band Spinner has been together for about 18 months. Of late, they've played support for Aussie rocker Jimmy Barnes, come third in the National York Street Acid Test and second in the nationwide Battle of the Bands. In their time together, Spinner independently released several EPs, topped national competitions, and played support for Jimmy Barnes and John Mayer. During this period, Danny also toured as an artist assistant with Norah Jones and technical assistant for Tommy Emmanuel. As a side project, Danny then co-founded a jazz-funk covers band called the Bourbon Street Quartet. Soon the sound evolved into a mix of funk, rock, and soul. Danny eventually changed the band's name to the Buskers. The Buskers are now a highly reputed and very active funk rock covers band. In early 2005, Danny started his business Paper Plane Productions. Since he left school, he had worked in a variety of day jobs to support himself while he pursued music. From 2005 onwards, he would make his living solely from music. Later that year, he supported Katie Melua at the Civic Theatre in Auckland, and due to internal turbulence, Danny decided to discontinue with Spinner. After some thought, Danny decided he would put a new band together and go out under his own name. He launched the new band in early 2006 with a full national tour that took them everywhere from Kerry to Invercargill. He then toured as a support artist for Tommy Emmanuel. In 2007, Danny released his first official album, Awake and Restless, through Elite Music.
I love you, sweet my dear. If you meet me in the middle, I'll never cheat my dear. If you meet me in the middle.
How many gigs do you guys do a year?
I have no idea.
No idea.
No.
This was followed by a busy gigging and media schedule to promote the album, including support shows with Brian Ferry and Joan Armatrading. By this time, his music was being frequently used on the soundtrack of the TV show Shortland Street, and to this day, his albums and music videos have been featured on the Air New Zealand in-flight entertainment. In 2009, Danny released his second album, Say What You Mean, through Liberation Music. The single In My Corner was placed on rotation at Radio Hauraki, Juice TV, and Channel 63.
same year, Danny was invited to support Jeff Beck at the AATA Center, and a month later, Eric Clapton at Vector Arena. This was followed by another tour with Tommy Emmanuel, and the following year, legendary instrument brand Fender featured Danny and the album Say What You Mean on their website. By now, many were taking note of Danny as a significant guitar player.
Done a lot of sports action people like Eric Clapton and stuff like that. Is that daunting?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. How did that come about?
We were asked to do it. Yeah, the right people had seen us and decided that we were right for the job and gave us the gig.
So you thought about it for like what, half a
Yeah, we
second?
said we'll get back to you and
Nobody's listening.
In 2010, Danny supported Simple Minds and played guitar for LA band Magnolia Memoir. Danny then returned to the studio and emerged in January 2011 with the release of a lo-fi album called Mojito under the band name The Red Suns.
My purse strings pull me, push me.
To support the album, the Red Suns released a music video made in the spirit of Monty Python for their single Breakdown.
Breakdown. I think I'm headed for a breakdown. I feel it coming and I don't know what to do. Don't know what to do.
In 2012, Danny began recording his third official album, Letters to the Future, and typically he took a different approach. The album was recorded over 6 months in multiple locations and included 13 musicians. There were no rehearsals or specific instructions given to the musicians. Instead, they were each given basic acoustic demos and asked to create their own parts. They recorded in dance studios, warehouses, and theaters, capturing the natural room sounds.
Bringing me down. Bringing me down.
The album was then mixed by Danny, his live engineer Seth Suter, and Englishman Ron Ramden before being mastered at Studio 301 in Sydney. Danny then played 2 shows in LA and recorded guitar and bass for a TV pilot soundtrack. He then returned to New Zealand to release Letters to the Future, followed by a second tour with Magnolia Memoir.
Oh my, I don't know what I'm doing.
In 2013, Danny released a 5-track acoustic EP called PS. The thoughtful and melodic work features Danny playing guitars, mandolin, and ukulele on some of his most introspective songs to date.
Don't have any answers. I wasn't even asking why until you fell out of the sky.
I see you fly.
After a third reunion with Magnolia Memoir, Danny was hired as guitarist for national icon Lizzie Marvelly. His first performance with Lizzie was in front of over 22,000 people, and other dates included a radio performance of the single Collisions. Danny decided to do more session guitar work, playing live for a number of bands, as well as working in the studio for various people, including international producer Greg Haber.
Two-faced wannabe makes hay where the sun don't shine. Your beauty will fade when it falls away or meets for the very first time.
2015 started on a high when Danny was fortunate enough to jam with Pakithi Kumalo, bassist for Paul Simon. He then played guitar in a short tour called King of Pop, The Legend Continues, a Michael Jackson tribute show with UK performer Navi, who actually worked for Michael Jackson at one point. Danny then got to work putting together a charity performance with the Buskers for Brothers in Arms, a youth mentoring program. The show was filmed and a number of the songs are now available to watch on YouTube. early 2015, Danny was invited to join the touring show Automatic 80s. Playing a wide range of new romantic and new wave hits, the lineup includes the energetic, unrelenting vocalist and frontman Justin McLaren, session vocalist Pearl Runga, one of the legendary Runga sisters, Bobby Kennedy, drummer for Op Shop and Stereo Bus, Clint Harris, bassist for Op Shop and the Feelers, and occasional special guest Bo Runga. They started touring mid-year, playing sold-out shows all over the country, and they're not slowing down. New dates are being announced all the time. In January 2016, Danny returned to LA to be a guest artist at the world-renowned music expo, NAMM. He performed his own music at Molly Malone's in West Hollywood. He played session guitar on a single for Kareen Hanna. He played live several times with a number of top LA session musicians and secured an endorsement with US pedal company Rockbox. He then continued with another busy year of touring and performing. Over the years, Danny has performed live on television and radio countless times. He's stubbornly remained a chameleon musician, always pushing the boundaries and resisting the pressure to adopt a style or be cornered by category. His influences cover almost every type of music, his priority being quality and feel, rather than genre and rules. He's a seasoned performer, a genuine musician, and as he puts it, a lifelong student of music.